Hey, what's going on? This is Sam from the Backlog Brothers, here to do a breakdown of the legendary heroes that we get with the Ultimate and Limited Editions. I bought the Ultimate Edition, so I have all 8 of them to go over. I'm just going to be looking at the 4 classes individually, but then we can, look at the cosmetics a little bit as well. So I just wanted to do a breakdown quick of some of the general information, some of the downsides, and then we can look at the heroes overall. So to start out with, I think the biggest benefit is if you're buying the limited or ultimate editions, and you know which hero you want, or you know which class, the Outlander, Assassin, Constructor, or Soldier, it gives you a huge head start. Having a legendary hero to start out with gives you a pretty big advantage and a much higher cap that you can work with as compared to people that are starting out with greens and blues, things like that. Not to say that it's not comparable, but you can certainly have a much more powerful hero earlier in the game. The other thing that's very notable about these is that they have exclusive cosmetic looks. So the limited and ultimate edition legendary heroes, you can't get a hero that looks like that without purchasing these. So we're going to go over the classes themselves that you're getting, or the subclasses are going to be the same as things that are available in the game. So you're not getting any exclusive perks or things like that with the heroes compared to something that you could possibly get from a llama. But the hero itself is going to be an exclusive look that you couldn't get otherwise. And then for the downsides, there's kind of 2 main things that I would say is that when you do get these, they're obviously going to be kind of your initial investment when you're playing the game. I have 3 heroes of the set that are 2-starred already. And one thing that I wish I would have known a little bit earlier when starting to invest in these heroes is that they're considered permanent in your inventory. So if I go ahead and click retire, you actually can't retire these heroes, and thus you can't get the manuals or hero XP back from them. So anything that you invest into these legendary heroes is going to be sunk kind of permanently. Not to say that that's a bad thing necessarily, because these are good heroes that I've been enjoying using, but just something that you can know ahead of time. Unlike the blues, purples, greens, etc. that you deal with, where you can potentially get them back if you want to retire the hero because you want to invest in someone else, any of the XP that you're investing in these legendaries is going to be gone for good. So let's go ahead and dig into, I'm going to start from kind of the ones that I've dealt with least up to the ones that I've played the most. So first we're going to start out with Controller Kyle. So both heroes you get when you purchase the limited or ultimate edition, because you'll get 2 constructors, 2 assassins, etc., depending on what you pick, they're going to be functionally identically the same. They have all the same perks, they have the same squad bonuses. I haven't investigated the stats, but I would have to assume that those are the same as well. So the main difference there is going to be the look, which is certainly a good thing because they are very different in how they look, and they're all very cool. But so let's take a look first at the Controller Kyle legendary. As I'm sure you're all pretty used to by now, the Constructor has the starting perk of increasing their build speed by 10% and reducing their build cost by 10%, which, especially when you're working on your home bases, is going to be super important. This guy starts out with Kinetic Overload, which is a passive that I like a lot, which is when you get a critical hit with a melee weapon, specifically a hardware melee weapon. So that's going to be the crowbar, wrench, hammer, and potentially one other thing. You can trigger the Kinetic Overload. So this deals a bunch of bonus damage as well as knocking back the target, and you can trigger that once every 6 seconds. I believe this hero does not, but there are versions that upgrade this Kinetic Overload to be even more powerful. Starting at Star 2, pretty consistent thing that we see across all the constructors is the base ability. Obviously good for, defense, a whole bunch of other stuff, blah, blah, blah. Pretty standard here, we have the base ability for the Constructor. I think, from what I recall, they all have it at level 2. I'm not going to go into the details of, what that's doing. At level 5, it has Safety Protocols, which increases the damage resistance of structures within base by 6%. So what we're going to see with Power Base Kyle and Power Base Penny is that this is a little of everything from the Constructor, but it is much more of a defensive kind of supporting role. And we'll see that at Star 2 role when we have Decoy as well. But so Safety Protocols gives the damage resistance to structures by 6%, and then followed up at level 8 with Automated Defenses, we increase base connectivity by 1 building piece. So that puts us up to 4 pieces as of level 8, compared to just the 3. Starting at Star 2, we have Decoy, which is an ability that I gain appreciation for more and more as time goes on. That you can drop a little scarecrow-looking guy, and then everyone within 1.5 tile radius starts attacking it for 12 seconds. And this is really powerful because it affects everyone. You know, you can decoy smashers, you can decoy, I don't know about flingers, I haven't tested it, but, you know, takers, regular husks, husky husks, all that type of stuff. All will sit and attack the decoy, so you can just lay into them. You can combo this up with people throwing grenades, dragon slashes from assassins, things like that. It can be very, very strong to have this, even if it's not something that gets upgraded later on. We get power modulation at level 12. This allows the structures attached to base to actually regenerate health over time. So this hero, which, you know, we'll look at some of the other bonuses, but this hero actually has power modulation as their squad bonus as well. So you can't stack this up. So if you use Controller Kyle and Controller Penny as your support slot, you can't double up those perks. But just standalone, regenerating 5% of their max health every 10 seconds will certainly cut down on the you know, resource costs you'll have to spend on repairing, as well as just taking care of some of that for you, just so you have to micromanage a lot less. At 15 here for Big Brother, we get increased base connectivity by 1 building piece. This puts us up to 5 total because we have 2 from different perks and we have 3 to start with. At level 18, fully contained, increase the damage reflected by base by 50%. So I forget what the starting damage is. It starts out with 4 damage, so but that's the base. So as that scales up, I'm not sure how the scaling works exactly, but we're going to be doing 50% more damage, which is certainly pretty noticeable. Then at Star 3, we have Plasma Pulse, which is another one of my really preferred constructor abilities. You drop down a little gizmo that spins around, and it essentially drops a whole bunch of, you know, mini grenades almost in an area. So in each of those plasma pulses to start with does 450 damage, which is a ton. So this is definitely, along with the decoy, allows for a lot of area control abilities that you can just drop down the plasma pulse and you just really don't have to worry about that area for a while. Level 25, Mega Base. There are only a few constructors that actually have this perk, but it increases base connectivity by 2 more building pieces. So this means that your base stretches out for 7 total building pieces, which is crazy. You're gonna have to be building a very, very big structure in order to, you know, start having stuff that you're not gonna be able to have connected with Controller Kyle once he's at level 25. Lastly, at 30, we have Recycling, which is for every 5 buildings of a type, base regenerates 1 resource every 60 seconds. What this is for every 5 pieces that are wood, stone, metal, etc. So say you have 15 wood, 5 stone, 5 metal. That means that you'll be generating 3 wood, 1 brick, and 1 stone every 60 seconds that you can run back to the base to collect. So this is really going to help the Controller Kyle keep track of his resources and stay sustained while they're working on repairing the base, throwing up new walls and stuff getting broken down, things like that. Obviously, this isn't until level 30, so it is a pretty end game. You're going to be in mid to late Plankerton by the time you get this, but it's certainly going to be helpful to prevent you from running low on resources. The last thing that I would say, and I believe this stands true for the constructors overall, but the ones you get from the limited and ultimate editions, they have the most overall health and shield. So the shield is a little bit lower, but they have significantly higher health than all the other classes. So at level 1 here, we have around 4,500 total health and shield, which, as we'll look at some of the other classes, is you know, much higher than the others. I'm not going to look at the stats other than this, but you can certainly take a look at those later on and let me know if there's some, you know, noticeable things there that are going to be worth calling out. And then the next one, we're going to look at Special Forces Jonesy. The Special Forces, again, role is a bit of a mix of things that the soldier is capable of. Starting to look at the perk that we get level 1 for all soldiers, range damage increased by 10% and health increased by 10%. along with starting out with Frag Grenade, which is, I think, one of my favorite abilities. Just having the wave clear capability to start out with for the soldier is really, really helpful. I've struggled a lot with other heroes when you don't have a lot of kind of massive area damage, that you start to feel overwhelmed pretty quickly, and having Frag Grenade certainly helps out with that. Coming down at level 2 right away, we have Debilitating Shots, which is that dealing range damage applies 1 stack of vulnerability, which increases all damage taken by 5% for the target for 15 seconds, and then that stacks up to 3 times. So this not only makes all of your range damage do more, but it helps everyone else on the team do more damage as well. This is really beneficial to, spray across, an entire field of guys if you can, and it's just going to make everyone do a lot more damage. And I believe we have some perks that actually increase this later on as well. Coming down at level 5, we have Assault Damage, which increases assault weapon damage by 24%. So this is a pretty massive chunk here. As the soldiers, you're going to be using assault weapons most of the time anyways. Or at least I have from my experience. So getting, 1/4 extra damage essentially is going to be huge. Coming down at level 8 for Steady Aim, you reduce recoil by 29%. I'm not sure why the percentages are all just a little goofy. Like it's not 25 and 30 and stuff like that. I'm sure, it's balance reasons or whatever. But so Steady Aim, pretty self-explanatory, reduces recoil by 29%. So especially when you're using those assault weapons, it helps you stay on target a lot better. At Star 2, we have Warcry, which I have not actually leveled up to get to yet. I ended up leveling an epic soldier rather than the legendary ones that I started with, so I haven't gotten to use Warcry very much yet. But this is a good support ability that you have as a soldier, as well as buffing yourself. So it costs 50 energy, cooldown 90 seconds, give a war cry, affecting friendly characters within 4 tiles, grants 50% more damage for ranged and melee weapons, and it also grants 50 attack speed for ranged weapons and 20 attack speed for melee weapons. And it lasts for 10 seconds, and it doesn't stack. So this just allows you to do so much more damage very quickly. 50% more damage, 50% attack speed with those assault weapons. I mean, at that point, it's going to be your biggest hindrance is the reload speed, which we'll look at as a perk a little bit later. But this perk, if there's husks coming at you, you basically never want this on cooldown or off cooldown. You just want to keep, using this whenever you can and just keep pushing out that damage. Coming at level 12, we have Practiced in Combat. This increases the duration of Warcry to 15 seconds, so that gives you, 50% more time on Warcry, which is going to be really valuable. Helping support that Warcry, again, quick clip at level 15, you're getting 40% increased reload speed. At level 18, reduces the cooldown of Warcry to 60 seconds, and with the increase previously of 15 seconds total, that means that you're going to be able to have Warcry up 1/4 of the time. With the gaps between, some waves coming and things like that, you're going to be able to time that out really well, I think, to try and keep Warcry up really when you need it to get the maximum damage you can. At Star 3, you have Going Commando. Costs 50 energy, cooldown of 150 seconds, which is just a really, really long time. But you get to pull out your minigun that you can't quite see, but it looks like Jonesy's holding right now, and you just do a ton of damage. So fires 18 times per second, dealing 13 physical damage per shot for 10 seconds. So I don't know what 10 times 18 times 13 is, but it's a ton of total damage that you can be doing with this. So this is definitely kind of your oh crap button as the soldier, but you can certainly mow through some people very quickly. Coming down at level 25, we have Waste Not Want Not, which increases ammo capacity of all weapons by 40%. A little confused on how this works. I believe it's essentially just increasing your clip size total by 40%, but this does help in preventing you from having to reload that much more often. So it's certainly beneficial there. Coming down to level 30, while Warcry is active, you now do 65% more damage to enemies. So this is only affecting you, but as I said before, about 1/4 of the time, you're going to be doing an additional over 50% damage to enemies. So while Warcry is up, you're just going to be mowing down husks with an insane amount of bonus damage that really won't be able to be beat by any of the other classes. So I really don't think you can be beat unless you're potentially looking at a different soldier class. But with Fight or Flight, with Warcry, with the increase in time for Warcry, the decrease in cooldown, you and your team are just going to be able to dish out a ton of damage with this soldier. For the bonus here, you have Flashbang, which is, it changes frag grenades to stun enemies for 2.5 seconds instead of knocking them back, and it deals increased impact. So this is one of a few of the tactical perks that you have to change what the grenades do. There's another one that exists for plasma. I haven't gotten to try the flashbang yet, but if you want more CC instead of damage, this is definitely going to be the way to go. The last thing to note, like I was talking about with the health with the constructor, the soldier is actually going to be the second tankiest class, especially with the perk that they have to start out with at level 1, that they get 10% increased health. Next, we'll be looking at the scout. So we have a Recon Scout class is what we're getting here. Again, this is still the same type of class that you can get with llama drops, things like that. Looking to start with, the Outlanders all have the same starting perk, which is Focused Acquisition, which is increases chance to find double loot by 6%. The phrasing here is a little interesting because I don't think you necessarily have a chance to find double loot unless you're an Outlander. But would certainly be interesting to find out otherwise. If you have any other information on that, let me know. I'd be certainly interested to hear. And then he starts out with In the Zone, which is a perk that Outlanders can get across various classes, which is after 5 hits with the pickaxe, you gain In the Zone, which increases your pickaxe damage by 24%. So if you're going to be doing a lot of mining, if you need to harvest a bunch of resources, having a Outlander within the zone is definitely going to help you out there. You'll be able to harvest stuff so much quicker with the In the Zone perk. And then right here, everyone that can collect the charge fragments has the ability to get Loot Llama. It's a good time, helps support your constructor as well, since they're going to be out harvesting resources, things like that. If you're not going to be dropping off resources specifically for them, drop down the Loot Llama, the entire team can bang on it, and then you can leave all those resources for your constructor to pick up, and that'll really help kind of the team player vibe as the Outlander. The other charge fragment that you can get is the Shock Tower. I haven't done a ton of testing with the Shock Tower. So far, I haven't been super pleased, but as I've leveled up an Outlander with it, it seemed to be better and better. The main downside is that it's only around for such a short period of time of 6 seconds, so you really have to time it really perfectly when you use this to get the biggest effect out of it, which is usually when, you know, it's kind of a last-ditch effort. There's a huge wave of husks coming in. You can drop this down and it'll start dealing damage and stunning all of them. So then you and your teammates can start, you know, laying down the heavy guns and hopefully try and take them all out. Yeah, so it stuns small enemies for 1 second, stuns large enemies after multiple hits. Yeah, so it hits a small amount of people to start with, but yeah, then it chains. Yeah, each pulse can chain up to 14 enemies. So you can hit a lot of husks with this and stun them very quickly. At level 5, Keen Eyes. It reveals containers that contain valuable objects within 2 tiles while you're in the zone. So remember, in the zone, we have to hit something with a pickaxe 5 times. It doesn't have to be the same thing, but 5 consecutive hits in a pretty short period of time with the pickaxe in order to trigger In the Zone. You get kind of white aura that goes around you, so you can tell that you have this. And then when you run around, you can pass by a house, and you can start to see a green, blue, or even purple aura sometimes, depending on the rarity of the loot that's in the house. And it's not even, you know, a whole house that glows up. You can see the specific object, essentially. So you can tell that, oh, it's up on the 2nd floor. You can build up, dig through the wall, and then it's just right there. So this allows you to find rare crafting materials, bullets, things like that very quickly. Keen Eyes is probably one of my favorite perks for playing an Outlander. It just feels so rewarding doing the exploration. I mean, it's almost like cheating, but you can go through and you just get to find all that stuff so much quicker than just kind of blindly exploring as you do as the other classes. Passing Zone increases run speed while in the zone by 12%. So, you know, you hit that 5 times and then you can just zoom, especially when you're sprinting. You're going to be traveling very quickly around the map, harvesting resources for you and your teammates. Phase Shift, get this at star 2, costs 20 energy, and you use 1 charge to teleport. It's a little over 1.5 tiles, and it's in the direction you're currently moving, not the direction you're currently facing. So you can do some cool stuff with this, where you're getting chased, but you're still shooting, and then you can blink backwards to give yourself more space between you and the enemy, things like that, along with using phase shift to clear gaps, things like that, because you can do it while moving and while jumping. And then actually you can try and use it to prevent falling damage as well. If you're falling off of a really high ledge, you can blink kind of at the last second, and then you'll only take falling damage from the end of the blink down and not from the start of the jump. Level 12, you get Keener Eyes, which increases the range of Keen Eyes by 1 more tile. So that allows you to see stuff 3 tiles away, which is a pretty massive area. So as long as you're hugging tight to houses, various things, you'll be able to find all the loot in those buildings very, very quickly. Level 15, Phase Runner. After you use Phase Shift, you get increased movement speed by 25% for 4 seconds. So this, in addition to the passing zone, in addition to the blink in general, you're going to have so much move speed with this Recon Scout AC. You're just going to have to keep track of your energy, because that's going to be the big hindrance here, is making sure that you stop sprinting when you need to, because the phase shift costs energy as well. But otherwise you'll just be flying across the map. Level 18, Loot Find, a 6% extra chance to find double loot. So with the standard level 1 focused acquisition, you're gonna be having 12% chance to find bonus loot, which is just gonna be massive, and I'm sure that you'll be finding a ton of stuff to keep you and your team supplied. Star 3, Anti-Material Charge, probably one of my favorite, or I would say my favorite ability from the Outlander. You kind of charge up quickly and do this big punch that travels half of a tile. You deal a pretty large chunk of damage, and you can knock back smaller enemies to clear a path. But this works really well to actually break through buildings and things like that too. So if you're in a rush, or if you just don't feel like pickaxing through the stone wall, things like that, you can wind up with your anti-material charge and punch through a chunk of area, and you also get some of those resources back as well when you do that. Level 25, Deep in the Zone, yet another in the zone perk. This one, when you're in the zone, you get an increased 14% damage resistance, as well as an additional 24% harvesting damage. So when you're in the zone at level 25 here, you're going to be doing 48% harvesting damage, so you'll be able to pick up anything, mine through walls very, very quickly. Lastly, Impossibility Matrix at level 30, the Outlander will be able to store 1 additional charge fragment. Sometimes it's a mix for me playing Outlander. I'll either feel like I have a ton of charge fragments, or I feel like I won't have any. This will certainly help in the former situation. I don't know how often that's going to come into play for me, but certainly once you're at level 30, I can definitely tell that you're going to be needing a lot more of those shock towers. So having that extra charge without having to leave the base to find one and come back will be very, very important here. And then looking at the health and shield, the Outlander is actually the 3rd tankiest class. Quick look here for the squad bonus. They have Loot Find, which is 3% extra chance to find double loot. So if you use one of the legendary heroes and slot the other one, once you're fully leveled up, you can actually get 15% chance to find double loot, which I think is about the highest you're going to be able to get there. I haven't wanted to use this on, just a general mission, but doubling up the Outlanders could certainly be a good way to try and max out your chances to proc that double loot. Lastly, we're going to be looking at the Ninja. The Assassin Sarah is actually the hero that I've been using the most recently. There's some things that I have complaints with about the Ninja class overall, but I've been really, really enjoying them. And I'm really looking forward to getting this class specifically up to level 3. So this is the Assassin class. Again, you can get this exact class in a different drop from Pinatas as well. But this cool white ninja outfit is going to be exclusive to the limited and ultimate editions. So I think, unfortunately, the biggest joke about ninjas is that their passive compared to 10% range damage and health, or bonus loot, or build speed and build cost, all they get is 10% reduced falling damage. It's not, 50% or something significant. So the passive here is kind of a joke. I'm really hoping forward to seeing Epic change this, but as again, it's a balance thing that I'm sure will take a little bit of time, but once the assassins get a better perk here, they'll feel like an even stronger class. Starting at level 1, we have throwing stars. We do a bunch of damage actually with the throwing stars, which I wasn't really expecting, but it is a good way to help conserve ammo, or if you run out of ammo in your gun and you know you're going to have to reload, you can throw some throwing stars quick. There's a lot of good applications here. So it's 30 energy cost, 6 seconds, so you can do this all the time. And then you throw 3 times very quickly, and each one of those does 300 damage. So you can do 900 damage very, very quickly with these throwing stars every 6 seconds, so it can do a ton of damage. At level 2, we have Mantis Leap, which allows us to double jump, which feels really, really good when exploring. The ninja is, just as good as exploring the map as the Outlander is, but they don't get as many of the kind of loot perks, the keen eyes abilities, things like that. So they can't necessarily harvest as quickly, but they can certainly navigate the map just as fast, if not faster, with this double jump ability. Level 5, this is another thing that I question about the ninja. And certainly tell me if I'm wrong, mention it down in the comments. I'd love to hear input if people have other experience with this. But the level 5 perk is Easy Sword, which says reduces the sword combo attack energy cost by 60%. And I don't know if this is something that I had already leveled it, so I'm now not seeing it anymore, but I can't even tell an energy cost to combo attacking with the sword. Definitely let me know if I'm wrong, but this perk so far to me has felt completely wasted. But I could just be wrong because I already have it, but certainly let me know. 8, Praying Mantis, the ninja can leap even higher, increasing the effectiveness of Mantis Leap. So this means that your initial jump is high, and then your Mantis Leap is even higher, so you can reach several tiles high, navigating around with your double jump. Star 2, one of the abilities I really like with the ninja is the Dragon Slash. So 50 energy cost, which is pretty high, cooldown 10 seconds, so you can do this pretty often. This is your wave clear. This is how you can take out just a massive amount of pitchers and regular husks very, very quickly. So you move forward 2 tiles, dealing 650 damage to all enemies in that area, a half tile around you. So I use this ability every time that there's a large amount of enemies near me, things like that. It's very, very good, and I've enjoyed using that so far. Probably one of the main reasons that I've liked this assassin class so much. And then here at level 12 is where we start to get a lot of the assassin-specific perks. So we start with Assassination, which is whenever we deal sword damage, we get 1 stack of Assassination, which increases the damage dealt by swords by 5%. And that lasts 5 seconds and stacks up to 5 times. So with the swords, you're going to be hacking pretty quickly, and out of nowhere, you're going to be doing 25% bonus damage already. At level 15, Long Assassin, which is a weird name, we increase the duration of assassination up to 11 seconds. So once you get those 5 attacks in, you're going to be doing that continual bonus damage for a very, very long time. But you're also going to be able to space out your hits a little bit more and still keep that damage up. At level 18, again, another Easy Sword perk. This time reduces the energy cost down to 80% total. Once again, still not convinced of the benefits of that, but let me know if there's something that you know that I don't. Star 3, Smoke Bomb. I haven't gotten my Assassin Sarah up to this yet, but I'm very, very close. We spend 40 energy, cooldown of 60 seconds, throw down a smoke bomb, creating a cloud that persists for 5 seconds. The cloud slows all enemies inside for 30% and deals 277 damage every second. So that means that if you get a husk that travels through that for the entire 5 seconds, which is pretty feasible with the 30% slow, you can do over 1,000 damage to husk for that smoke bomb, which is just massive, as well as allowing you to escape and some other things like that. Smoke bomb seems like it has a ton of utility. Pain Mastery, Assassination now grants a 3% bonus per stack to critical hits with edged melee weapons. So unfortunately, the Assassination is only for sword damage, and then Pain Mastery is just all edged weapons. So I've never tried to attack with a sword and then switch over to an axe or something like that, but it could conceivably do something like that. But you can get a 50% bonus per critical hit chance. So you'll be hitting those critical hits a lot more, and you'll really be able to rake in that critical hit damage. So just maxing out the melee attack damage that you'll be doing on this assassin class. And then lastly, and this is where the damage just gets turned up even a higher notch, is Corrosive Blade. So critical hits from the ninja's edged weapons deal 30% of the hit damage over time while reducing movement speed of the target by 30%. So this kind of stacks up with the smoke bomb as well, so you can do a lot of slowing, which works because the ninja's supposed to be usually the class that's kind of out away from the base, trying to take out all the high priority targets. And then when you're attacking them, you're slowing them by 30%, and then it allows your entire team to pick off everyone that you slowed a lot more easily. In addition to the fact that you're dealing 30% bonus damage over time. So you're going to have, to start with, your up to 25% bonus damage from Assassination, another 30% bonus damage from Corrosive Blades, and potentially a 15% bonus to critical hit chance from Pain Mastery. So the Assassin definitely focusing on sword attacking, but can also just do edged melee weapons with the Pain Mastery perk. So you're going to be kind of in there face-to-face combat the whole time, but you can do a ton of damage, very kind of surgical striking, as well with the Mantis Sleeps you can get in and get out very quickly. For the quad bonus, we have endurance training, which increases the maximum energy by 8%. There's another ninja that has a perk that increases energy regeneration by 12%. I'm not sure which one's better yet. I'm sure that if we could combine both of them, that's what I would want on almost every hero, because I feel like energy is the biggest constraint really when playing right now. Definitely helps get off those 50 energy abilities a lot more easily. And then lastly, the health and shield of the assassin is the lowest of the 4 that we're getting here. So let's go ahead and I'll just show off the other classes just so you can get a look at it. With that, that's going to conclude this review of legendary heroes that we're getting from the Ultimate and Limited Editions. If there's any other questions, comments, things like that you have, definitely put them in the comments below and I'll try and respond to anything that I can. And with that, I'd have to say thanks for tuning in and watching Backlog Brothers, and I will see you later.